Chinch, my man, baby. We are here.
Yes.
20th episode. I can't believe. What do you think, Chinch? We made it to 20.
Dude, we've been doing this for almost a half of a year. And it's funny. I was setting up today and we're going to take a look back at some things. And I'm like, look at all this crap I have in my house right now. We got, how many times were you like calling each other going, wait, did you get a new microphone? Did you get the new, I got a lighting kit? And I'm sitting here and I'm like, what happened to my life? But I love it. It's been great, dude. It's been great.
It's so true, bro. I just got another mic delivered. I'm like, hey, you never know when you're going to need another mic. You know what I mean? I'm like,
oh my God, I got mics sitting around everywhere. I ordered this mic. It didn't work. I got a new mic.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Well, bro, this has been so much fun. And I think it's cool like we did at episode 10. You know, we're doing, episode 20 here. Take a little bit of a breath, take a little bit of a recap. Because I know for us, when you look back at the guys that we've done, of Johnny Bench, Jerry Ferrara, Johnny Smoltz, CC, Dustin Pedroia, Todd Frazier, Mike O'Malley, Danny Graves, and Cliff Floyd, man, there's so much awesome content in those episodes, right? And it's like, we thought it would be a good time to kind of take a breath here, look back, recap, and just have some fun at what's happened in the last 9 guests.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we're so psyched for everybody that's joined our ride. We say it every time at the end of every week that, like, Sean's a big famous athlete, but he doesn't look at himself that way, like he's not. And he gets excited. He's like, wow, we got that many downloads. Wow, people are listening, because we do appreciate you guys so much. And the biggest thing about this was we wanted to just say, hey, like you said, let's take a breath and say, hey, if you haven't seen all the episodes, you're going to get them all right here for the last 10 weeks. And it's going to be really awesome. And the guests we've had on, first of all, are a testament to how great of a person Sean is, because his friends are so cool. Like, I watched Danny Graves. I said it to you last night. I watched Danny Graves for like 2 hours. And I'm like, I can't turn this off because you guys are having such a good time together. And it's amazing. And we thought, there's no question, we got to kick things off with probably the best catcher of all time, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest guys ever. But in this first block, you're going to get the best of the best from the athletes we've had on. And just to kick things off, Willie Mays talking to Johnny Bench when he was 20 years old in the locker room at the All-Star game. Here's what he had to say.
Well, in 1968, I was 20 years old. I was sitting in my locker in the Astrodome, and I was not going to step out of the locker because I wasn't going to spike any of those guys. I didn't want, what the hell, I'm a kid. I got picked as an extra catcher and everything else. And Willie Mays is sitting straight across the locker room. And he walked straight across to me and he said, you should have been the starting catcher, and went back to his locker. And I said, that's all I need. That's all I ever need. And then I caught the 9th inning of that ball game. They didn't want to put me in. Red Sheen, they said, well, we don't have any other catchers. And the other coaches saying, he's not going to get hurt. Put him in there. So I caught the last inning of the ball game, and I didn't get to hit. And then the first at bat in Washington the next year, I took Mel Stottlemyre deep, hung me a slider. And so.
What was that like? Because Vlad Jr. in the All-Star game this year homered, and he was the second youngest player to ever do it. You were the youngest. So what was that like, hitting that home run off Stottlemyre in that game, rounding the bases?
Well, first of all, you have to understand there's a lot of things that went along this. I was actually on my 2-week summer camp for the Army. I was in the Army Reserve. So I was at AP Hill, Virginia, serving my 2 weeks. And so they gave me special permission to come to Washington. So I go to the White House, I meet the President, Nixon, and we do the whole thing. Then there's a deluge. It's like 5 inches of rain, and the game was canceled. And I'm thinking, oh, man, they're not going to give me another day off. I said, maybe I'll ask the President. Can you make an exception to this? So anyway, they let me come back the next day. And, all I knew was that, and then I hit a ball in the last inning, or in my next third at bat, that Yastrzemski jumped over the fence and caught. That would have been a home run. So McCovey hit 2 home runs in that game. He was the MVP. So I thought it was, I would have loved to have been the MVP of an All-Star game, but it was. And then, of course, I left right after the game, went straight back to AP Hill and got in uniform there, a different uniform. And then I served my 2 weeks, and then I joined the team again.
Wow. That's unbelievable. That would never happen nowadays, but that's unbelievable, for you guys that was even part of it back in the day. Dude, this is so great because I felt like there were so many guys too that kind of showed me the ropes when I came up, like a Jim Tomey, Barry Larkin, Greg Vaughn, like there was Pete Harnish. There were so many guys that taught me, hey, how to tip, how to pay the clubbies, what to do, what to wear on the road. Took me to Barry Larkin took me my rookie year, got me suits. Yep. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of stuff.
It's not existing anymore in the big leagues. You know
why?
That's
what I was going to ask you.
There's no vets. Think about it. Like, think about the teams. Like, there are no veterans. You know what I'm saying? Like, really? Like, there's really nobody in the big leagues anymore that played with you.
Right,
you know what
nobody.
I mean? So there's nothing that you got that can be passed down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of guys that play with me, but like, they ain't in position to go buy a guy that came up suits because they still young.
Right.
The league is so damn young that it takes all of that veteran kind of like leadership and tutelage out of it. They're just figuring the shit out on their own. And now, to be honest, most of them, they come up because of Instagram and stuff. They already got like the cars and shit that we like. When I came up, like Ellis Burks was driving the S600 and Tommy had the Hummer, and like Tommy used to give me a ride in the Hummer doing weather developments, cool shit. Like now, these kids come up and drive the same car I'm driving. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got all the cool shit already. Like, I want them to give me a ride. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a different game, man.
So after your time in Milwaukee, you signed obviously you were the big free agent that year. You end up going to New York. Like, were you why New York? Why did you end up picking New York?
Because, like I said, it wasn't my first destination. I'm from the West Coast, obviously. Grew up in NorCal, close to Oakland, close to San Francisco. So for me, I wanted to play for the Dodgers or Anaheim. That was my choice to play. Just to be on the left coast and have my family be able to come down. But then after analyzing everything, and like I said, when I said the Brewers traded for me, that was a team that wanted me. The Yankees really wanted me to come here. And me and my wife sat down and for me at that time, the only thing I was concentrating on was trying to win a World Series. And how can you turn down the Yankees if that's the only thing you want to do? If you want to win, come to the Bronx. They give you the best chance to win every single year. So if you talk about that you're a winner and all this shit, all you care about is winning, how could you not put the pinstripes on? And if you have that opportunity, you have to jump at it. So did I necessarily want to come to New York? No, but I felt like it was necessary and I had to. And another reason I think I didn't want to come here too is because my father passed away in 2003 and we were really close. And he always wanted me to pitch for the Yankees. He always told me that George Steinbrenner was going to come get you when you're a free agent, blah, 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 blah. You're going to pitch in the Bronx. So when the opportunity came around, like, I didn't want to come here and then fail and then, mess up his dream of me pitching in the Bronx and not be able to live that out. So I was a little scared of that, too, at the same time. But I was just glad everything was able to work out. Like, I got here. It's been great. I mean, it's been 13 years now, and this is my home. I'm a New Yorker, integrated into the Bronx. We do stuff at the Boys and Girls Club, me and my family. My kids grew up, basically in New York. So, I mean, it completely worked out. And I thank Brian Cashman for really pursuing me and really, 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 talking me into coming here.
Isn't it amazing? Because it's like a tale of two lives. You come up with the Indians as a kid. You get to the big leagues at 20. You play your years there. But then all of a sudden, most of your life, you're a Yankee. I mean, it's crazy. But that's what happens when you play 19 years in the big leagues. You can have almost two lives,
And that's what I say. Like, I definitely wouldn't have been prepared for what the Bronx was had I not been an Indian first.
Yeah.
And that's why I say they do a good job of preparing, players and molding players and, turning them into leaders of other teams, which they should probably be leading, the Indians clubhouses.
Yeah. Tell us about that team in 2009. And, you had A.J. Burnett was a big free agent. I think Mark Teixeira came over that year and they were spending the big bucks. And guess what? It worked out. I mean, so tell us about that year in 2009. What was that like with the Yankees?
Yeah, no, it worked out. It was great. I mean, getting a chance to come to New York and have a chance to play with Mo and Andy, it changes you. It shapes you, and having a chance to sit with Andy every day, I think it, prolonged my career. He definitely helped me understand what it is to be an ace in New York, what that pressure is like, to embrace that pressure. But I got like a quick story just thinking about playing with the core four. Like when I got to New York, I was I had already won the Cy Young, coming off that big year in Milwaukee, second half. So like now I'm CC Sabathia, right? Like I don't fucking run in the outfield or do fucking plays. First day of spring training, I see like the clubby coming around with the shoe. Like he got a bag and everybody putting their running shoes in there. And he was like, "Oh, this is for the guys that's gonna run out on the field, the pitchers after PFP." And I was like, "Fuck that! I'm not putting my shoes in there." So I see Andy and Mo and everybody put their shoes in there. So we get out, we get done with PFP, and now like it's time to go do the running. So I like start heading back to the weight room, but I see Andy and Mo and all these veterans start to go out to run. So now I'm like, "Fuck! Should I keep walking off?" Or should I go run? So I put my shit down and ran and fucking spiked like a dumbass. Had shin splints. But that just changes you know what I'm saying? Like if Andy and Mo and these guys are so accomplished, they out here running after they already got 4 World Series rings, guess what? My fat ass is going to get out there and run.
Right.
That's just the culture of coming to New York and understanding the demand of, trying to win a World Series every single year. And those guys set the tone.
Wow. That is an unbelievable story because you're right. When the best players on the team are doing the things that that everyone's doing, everyone gets in line.
And then that gives them the right to be able to yell at you. That gives Derek Jeter the right to be able to come at me and yell at me when he's doing all the little things that the 26th man is doing. This Derek fucking Jeter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why he's the captain. That gives them the authority to come in and yell. And he never did that. He would always pull guys to the side, but it gave him the authority to do that, and it always made you fall in line when he didn't like shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What was it like playing with Jeter? Because obviously I played against him all those years, never got a chance to play with him. So what was he like as a teammate? And why did it feels like, he's one of the greatest. The fans just love that guy. Why did the fans love him so much? I mean, you got to see it firsthand.
No, just because he's himself. Like, he really is like a genuine great guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't sugarcoat nothing. I mean, he is a little guarded in the media. He won't, give his personality all the way up. But Jeet's a fun guy to be around, man. He cracks a lot of jokes, talks a lot of shit, and he's great to be around, and he's great to be like a sounding board. Like I would call, like after Jeet retired, you know me, like how I am. Like it'd be games where I'll be mad at the umpire, or I'll be huffing and puffing and pissed off, and I would call him after the game, and be like, "Yo, bro, I'm about to go off on the umpire right now." And he'd be like, "Nah, just," you know what I'm saying? Like, different little things. Or he'll see something that, I did during the game and call me and be like, before I talk to the media, to make sure that I don't say nothing that I shouldn't say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, he's just always taking care of people and looking out. And I think people love him because he's himself.
Yeah.
He is what he is, and he don't try to be nothing else.
Yeah. What about that? Because I look at Jeter, I feel like, man, all those years he played in the big leagues, all the things that he accomplished, everything that he did, he was such a superstar. But I felt like he never said anything to the media that the media could take, right? He was a master at that. Like he was like Yoda as far as dealing with the media, especially in New York. For you, playing all those years in New York, like what was it like dealing with the media? And like, was there any tricks passed on to you to like kind of navigate that?
See, I was the exact opposite. I tell you everything, and I'm almost too honest. And I'll get to cussing and talk, you know what I mean? But that's just who I am. And I think with the New York media, you have to be who you are. Like if you're guarded and you can give one-word answers and that's just how you are, then that's how you can play it. But for me, that's not how I am. I'm super open. I talk and I give information, and it kind of is what it is. So that was the biggest thing that when I got there, Jason Zillow was like, just be yourself. Like you are, you are what you are. You can't try to be something that you're not, and they'll figure that out. You got a 7-year contract here. I ended up playing there 12 years. By 12 years, the media's gonna know who you are. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You might as well be yourself right at the jump, and I think that's what helped me.
Can you take us? I want to go back to that 91 duel of you and Jack Morris, Game 7. Talk about. I got the chills, bro. Seriously, I just mentioned it. I got the chills. I remember watching it. And it's one of those games that you look back on it and you wonder if this day and age, a game like this would ever have happened. They're not going to, Jack Morris goes the distance. You almost go the distance. Can you take us back to that, man? And two things here. Take us back to that game and also take us back to the postseason mentality and why it's different.
Yeah, I said earlier, I wasn't afraid to fail. I wasn't afraid to get outside my comfort zone. As a kid, I put myself in every one of those big moments against the brick wall. I mean, when I tell you to the detail, I would stand on the curb because my parents wouldn't let me be in the street, and we had a small brick wall between the door and the garage. So it literally was about a batter's box wide. And I put a tape zone of tape in the brick wall. I was the announcer, the grounds crew, the GM, and the star player. I was the manager. And I made these pitches over and over again and imagine what it would be like to be in a big game, and always won those games. In my mind, I always won. I tell people, and I said in my book, I was 99-1 because I had to throw in a loss because no one would believe 100-0, right? Just to throw in a loss. But I take that forward, and in 1991, when you're the worst team in baseball for 3 years, you never think you're going to get these moments, right? You wish upon them. You just would be a fly on a wall on a winning team. Well, in 1991, people forget, I was 2-11 in the first half. I had a bad contract negotiation. I let it go to my every game. I was going to be different. I failed. I messed up. Well, in the second half, I go 12-2. And I reset my brain, and everyone talks about the sports psychologist and everything that went into that. That helped. That helped me get back on a mental train of pitching to win instead of pitching to lose. Well, I felt unbeatable in the second half. And I get to the regular season game, the clincher that gets us in the postseason. To me, the coolest thing about my generation of pitching, I gave up 5 runs or 6 runs and pitched a complete game that you don't even get to give up 3 runs.
No, you're out.
I pitched a complete game. Olsen jumps in my arm. We win the game to put us in the postseason for the first time in forever. Okay, that's step 1. Now we go into the postseason against the Pirates. I pitch in the postseason. I get an opportunity to pitch on 3 days rest, to pitch in Game 7, a dream. On the road in Pittsburgh, again, mindset is I'm unbeatable. This is what I want. I want this moment. I get a chance to pitch 9 innings again. And Olsen jumps in my mind, my arms, and in my mind, I'm like, oh, here we go. We're going to the World Series. I pitch a shutout. Well, in Game 7 in a World Series, that's the dream. But nothing changed for me. Every one of those games, it was like I was in slow motion. Everyone else was in fast motion. Everyone else wanted to be the hero. I just wanted to be the guy. And I never thought about coming out of that game in Game 7. And it's the loudest, most chaotic moment of your life. And I was the most comfortable. Like my heartbeat was slower. Everyone talks about what was that like. It was everything that I said it was going to be at 7 to 10 to 12 years old.
Wow.
When I walk out, I don't know what it's like for a hitter going from the on-deck circle to the batter's box, but for a starting pitcher going from the clubhouse to the bullpen, it's that walk that I found special. Like I'm getting ready to prepare to go do something. I don't know what the outcome's going to be, but I'm walking in that moment of time where you can think to yourself, is that really gap or whatever that is to get to the bullpen? And I remember walking down, and Leo was at my side, and he was nervous, as most people were in Game 7.
Leo was always nervous.
He was always nervous. And he said, how you feeling? What do you think? And I remember the statement like it was yesterday. There was a little 6 or 7-year-old girl singing the national anthem in Game 7. I said, if she can do that, I can do this. I literally lived for the moment. Now, just living for the moment doesn't prepare you or give you the ability to be great. You've got to want to be in the moment, but you also have to understand what the moment is. It's not life or death. It's not the last game you'll ever pitch.
Right.
But I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to lay it on the line and give my best effort and know that I'm giving my team a chance to win. And so when I came out of that game, it was certainly frustrating. I wish I would have had more years to go, Bobby, get off the mound, like Jack Morris did to his man.
Yeah.
But, I sit here and go, I pitched 3 7th games in my career, which in and of itself, pretty lucky, pretty incredible to have those opportunities. And in 3 7th games, I only gave up 2 runs and only won 1 game. Like when you think about the outcomes, sometimes don't match your performance or match where you think. And I think about those outcomes all the time, like, oh, what could have been had we done this? And the playoffs to me, and you've been around enough guys, everybody who sits on a couch thinks they can do X, Y, Z watching TV. You can't, okay? It seems really easy in the moment, but I played with teammates that didn't want to be in that moment. Not every personality is cut out for that moment. You see it in every big moment of sports where people go down the stretch, whether it's in golf or taking a shot. People forget how many shots Michael Jordan missed. You know why? They remember how many he made, because he was willing to make those shots every single time. Even though he may have missed just as many, he was willing to take that on his shoulders. And I can't teach everybody what that's like, but I can speak to what it can be if you allow yourself to be in that moment and get outside your skin, get outside your personality. Not everyone's cut out for it. Just like not everybody can speak in front of 25,000 people. But in that arena, I was as comfortable. I wanted the ball. And no disrespect to Glavin or Maddox, they knew it. They knew I wanted the ball more than them. And they knew that I could do things differently at that time that they couldn't do physically. And it did give me a little bit of ability to kind of showcase my ability to step it up and kind of go to the next level with my stuff.
I think, personally, bro, I've been around the game a long time. I played in the big leagues 12 years, but got to know a lot of guys even through MLB Network and stuff. Top 5 personalities over 150 years in the game. Todd Frazier, top 5. No, seriously,
man.
hands down, bro. Hands down. And top 5 teammates just watching what you did. But your time in Cincinnati, man, like when you leave, I was number 21, and I always look at the guys that wear 21 and Hatteberg and Dickerson, all these guys.
Yeah.
But then when I saw you wearing it, I'm like, oh man, now this is the guy like that I really relate to is Todd Frazier. And dude, I felt like you were Cincinnati. I was the mayor in Cincinnati, but you were like kind of took over the reins in Cincinnati as the mayor,
like the governor.
Yeah, they loved you there, bro. They loved you there. And like, can you talk about that a little bit, like your time in Cincinnati and like what it meant playing for those fans? And
it meant everything. I didn't want to leave. I told Castellini and Jockety, I said, I've done a lot for the city, the home run derby, everything. I'm coming off a really good year. And I told him, just sign me long term, man. And he told me, long story short, Castellini said, I'm going to put that on my shoulders. I'll make that happen. I got traded 2 weeks later. I said, damn, you can't trust that. That's when I really learned in 2015. You can't trust a word any of these business people say, man. So I learned the hard way. I should have known better. But no, for real, the fans were awesome. I still have love for those fans in that city. They give me praise all the time whenever the home run derby comes around. Yeah.
Yeah. What about for you? I mean, I know you represented the Reds twice in 2 All-Star games, right? And when you go back and look at that 2015 Derby, because I was there, it was like one of the coolest things ever. Like to watch you, first off, to know that Charlie, your brother, was pitching to you, and it was the new format. That was the first year, the new format that they're doing now, right? With the, you keep ripping. Can you take us through that Derby? First off, one of the questions I want to ask you is, what's it like when they take the turtle away? You know what I mean?
Listen, it's a different beast. It really is, because all of a sudden, nothing's covering you. When something's covering you, you don't feel like anybody's there, nobody's watching. But yeah, it's different. It's pressure filled. You hit a ball to the left, you might take out somebody in the stands. Like nothing's stopping any of these baseballs. So you foul one back in batting practice, that's really embarrassing. So it's like, you got to figure it out. But it was awesome. My brother and I, we practice it all the time in the off season. Our last couple rounds, like, all right, home run derby rounds, and just in case. And, I had a really good year. I had a really good first half, 25 homers. I'm like, Chaz, I call him Chaz. And Chazzy, listen, we got this, brother. Here we go. Like, this is the real deal, Holyfield. So the excitement grew. My middle brother, Jeff, was my hype man. He's like, let's go, And long story short, I'll tell you something. I forget who sang the anthem, but it was a big group that everybody knew about. After I won the first round against Prince Fielder, my brother told me this because I guess I blacked out. And he said, they're like, yeah, good. Like, I ran in tunnel, like, excited, like, good job. And I went like this for like a chest bump. And I knocked the lead singer out like 10 feet back. Oh! And I like pimped it and kept walking and told my brother Chaz, like, what did you know what you just did? I'm like, what just happened? I said, bro, you just knocked that guy back, one of the most famous singers. I got to remember what the group was.
It was that group. Wait, I know it. It was
The moon?
God.
No.
Walk the moon. Walk the moon.
Walk the
Those
moon. Yeah,
guys
wasn't
did,
that
'cause they were little
their
guys.
Cincinnati group? Yeah,
Oh.
their Cincinnati group.
Oh, this guy I knocked him back 10
Yeah.
feet, and it was just it was unbelievable. But yeah,
Those guys
it was cool.
Those
It was
guys
really
all weigh
cool.
like 125 pounds too.
Yes.
I thought I could realize
Yes,
that.
but he got up and he's like, yeah, like he was excited. So,
That's
I
awesome.
mean, I was going bonkers, man.
Well, he has a story on the other end that Todd Frazier came off after the first round and knocked me down.
You know, my shoulder's never been the same since. He's probably saying. So.
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh my God. I'm down for the count. What a nickname. Where did that come from? The babyface assassin. It's such a great nickname.
Primetime. Deion Sanders.
Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's sick. That is sick.
He did it like just joking around, walking by. You know how cool Prime is. He's like,
Him and Jeffrey Hammond's two coolest dudes ever.
ever. He's like, oh, his fingers are so long. Oh, babyface assassin. Yeah. So Pete Harness got a hold of it, and he just ran
That's
with it.
awesome.
You know? So now it's like it was a big deal. Like everybody started calling me that, but the story is Primetime just walking by.
No way.
Yeah.
What a
That's
crazy
crazy.
story.
Did you guys, by the way, did you guys talk shit to each other, or you're talking Miami and Florida State, like, or it was cool with
You
you?
don't talk. Hey, listen.
I was going to say the same thing.
You don't talk trash to Primetime.
Really?
There is no talking trash to Primetime. And he could have. I actually do. I'm okay with Florida State. I don't hate Florida State. I hate the Florida Gators. If he was a Florida Gator, I still wouldn't talk trash. That's one guy who's just like, yeah,
Dude,
That's
hey,
awesome.
Prime was the best, man, because he loved fishing. Remember, after every day he'd go
With
fishing.
little John boat in the back of his truck.
Yeah, you're like, fishing
Wow.
Prime's on his boat again to practice. You know what I mean? Hard work, such a hardworking guy, such a strong man of faith, which was cool because, you think Primetime, probably the quietest guy in the clubhouse.
Totally.
Like you're like, oh, are you Deion Sanders?
Wow.
I'm waiting for the Primetime.
Yeah.
It's like, no, the quietest guy in the clubhouse. But when the lights came on,
Yeah.
when the interview came on, bam, Primetime came out.
Yeah.
But Deion came out, before that. But it was just such a wonderful guy and such a wonderful teammate. Like, when you look back and you're like, I remember just looking over going, I got Ken Griffey Jr. to my left, maybe the greatest baseball player of all time. I got Deion Sanders straight across from the clubhouse. One of the greatest football players of all time, greatest feedback of all time, no doubt about it. Like, did you feel the same way a little bit?
Dude, I was starstruck. And still to this day, people that do work with Deion that I'm friends with, I'm like, I almost don't know what to say because I'm still starstruck with Deion. And he's like, oh, babyface assassin. He's just like, oh, we're best friends. And he's liked stuff on my Instagram. I'm like,
That's
I tell him,
crazy.
I'm like, look, Deion just liked this. He liked this picture.
That's awesome.
I
Man.
don't care. I don't say anything, but it's so liking my stuff. But when Primetime likes it, I'm like, that's Primetime.
Oh, it's so true, man.
Yeah.
Just such an unbelievable guy.
So amazing.
Oh my God. So after 2005, then you go to the Mets, and it kind of the end of your career. Take us through that a little bit. So 2005. I want to clean something up first, because dude, you're one of my best buddies in the world. You're one of the best guys I ever played with. I love you so much, bro, and I'm so grateful for those times that we had together. We played pretty much our whole career together.
Yeah.
Came up with the Indians. We were both here from 98 to 2005.
Yeah.
I got traded after the 2005 season, and I love you, dude. You're one of the biggest hearts going. And when you left here in Cincinnati, things happen, and I remember that fan yelling at you coming off the field. And, I think he might have said something racist towards you, and you flicked him off, and it turned into this big thing, like you were flicking off the Cincinnati Reds fans,
Right.
and it couldn't be anything further from the truth. It frustrated me so bad. I'm like, if everyone knew Danny Graves, you wouldn't think anything of it. And sometimes it's a high stress situation. Could you just talk about that a little bit? Because, or at least to me, because I want to clean that up, because it bothers me when anyone says, oh, Danny Graves flicked out the fans. I'm like, no, come on, man. I was there.
Right.
Some guy comes in our dugout, berates you flick him off, and all of a sudden the story is Danny Graves flicks off the fans.
Yeah, immediately it turned into I walked off the field flicking off everybody in the stadium.
Yeah, that's not true.
And it's furthest from the truth. I was struggling off the field with some issues that we can get into in a little bit, but So on the field, like my performance wasn't that great, and I wasn't feeling right. I wasn't pitching well, and just kind of getting hit around. And so a few times previous to this last outing, like I was getting booed off the field, and I publicly said to one of the reporters, Hal McCoy or Chris Haft, I said, it's just unfortunate that our own fans are booing us because we're not like trying to suck.
Right.
We're trying to get people out and we're trying to get hits.
Right.
So that turned into, he's such a crybaby. Like, I can't believe he's crying. We tell him he sucks. Whatever. I understand that fans can say and do whatever they want.
Right.
But usually your hometown team, you're not booing your own players. So, anyways, probably shouldn't have said that, but I was never one to hold back on my opinion.
Right.
And I didn't think it was that bad of a deal or that big of a deal. But so this game, I throw the third of an inning, give up like 4 or 5 runs. So I come walking off, and I get all the way into the dugout. I'm down the steps in the dugout, not really in the tunnel, but I'm like turning away from the tunnel, going to sit down. And some dude leans over in the little club section, like literally leans over the glass and says, "Take your ass back to F in Vietnam." So I just look at it and I said, "Well, go F yourself." And
you double barrel.
Yeah. So
if you had more fingers, you could have triple barreled. That's bullshit.
Yeah. Well, if I had an extra hand, I would have. So, I mean, it was like harmless. He said that to me. He racially, attacked me. So I told him to go F himself. And I thought that was the end of it. And so I go home that day. I get a call from Rob Butcher, our media relations guy, best one in the business.
Best in the business. Butch, best in the business.
He's like, "Oh, man, I got to know before I say anything to anybody. People are asking me if you flicked off the fans, and I got to try to put this fire out." I'm like, "Butch, I didn't flick off the fans.
I flicked off a
I
fan.
flicked off one person who leaned in the dugout." And he's like, "Oh, man, okay, let me see what I can do." So John Allen, who was this COO at the time, calls me right after that. He's like, "Tell me what happened, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "Okay, let's tackle this tomorrow. As soon as you get here, let's, if you're okay with it, let's make a public statement and tell your side of the story, and we'll move on." Well, the next morning, before I even have a chance to go to the field, Dan O'Brien, the GM at the time, says, "I need you to come into," or Miley calls me. Dave Miley says, "I need you to come to the office, get here a little bit earlier." And he's like, and I said, "What, am I in trouble?" He's like, just get here when you can." So Dan O'Brien's not even in town. He gets on the phone and says, "We're going to designate you for assignment."
So tired. Dan
like,
O'Brien.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, "Wait a minute, you're going to designate me for assignment because some fan said that the fans are saying that I flicked off."
Yeah. Typical
crowd?
Dan O'Brien too.
Yeah.
Call you on
On the phone.
Yeah. Right.
So he's like, no, it's just your performance. And I'm like, come on, let's get real. Like, the fans are saying I flicked off the crowd and you're releasing, or you're designating me for assignment. He's like, "That's not it." And I said, "But plus, you couldn't even come here to tell me this?
Yeah.
I've been here for all these years and you couldn't come and tell me this?" "Oh, I'm out of town." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, tired." So anyways, that was that. And for years, and still now, a lot of people think that I flicked off the whole stadium. And it was one person. Like, people occasionally will try to get on social media and say, "Oh, you're the guy that flicked us all off." I'm like, unless you're the one person that cussed at me, you didn't see me flick anybody off. Because it was one guy. One guy that saw me do that.
That always bothered me.
Yeah.
Because that always bothered me that was the story, and I'm like, that's not the story, but I guess anyone can believe what they want to believe.
Right.
That's why 2021 on the Mayor's Office podcast, we'll just set the record straight that that wasn't the story.
Yeah.
And the fans always loved you all the time, and I hope people hear this interview and know that you always had that love for the Cincinnati Reds fans.
Yeah.
It was nothing towards them. It was towards one dude.
One idiot.
Yeah, one idiot. Ain't that the truth?
Real Cliff, your kids are they athletes? Do they play sports and stuff? And if so, how do you kind of teach them the old school way, even though nowadays it's like, if you want to play baseball, you got to play 365 days a year and you can't play football or basketball and all that. Are you going through that now as a dad?
I keep it 100 with my kids, man. And, I tell them, look, I did it already. I'm here to support you, pick you up off the ground when you fucking fall on your face, dust you off, and put your ass back out there. Don't worry about me. I'm good. Don't worry about me. All I care about, I'm in the same foxhole with you. I'm in that bitch with you every day. So you want to grind? I'm grinding with you. You want to lay back? Can't help that shit. I can't make you want it more than me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I can't push you like more than me. Like I can guide you, but I can't push you if you don't want it.
That's up to you, right?
Game. And I'm like, I tell my son all the time, this motherfucker 6'4", 210. I'm like, bro, it's in your DNA, fucker.
What grade is he in? What grade is he in?
He's a junior, man, but he has to see, look, there's either dog in you or it's not. And you teach dog. Case, you freaking know you can't teach.
Yeah, you can't.
You got your C's at home. Either they want it or they don't.
Yeah, dude, that is so true. I love that too. I have the same conversation with my kids. Like, hey, I already did it. Like, I don't, like, I always tell my kids too, hey, you want to go hit? Let me know. I'm not going to ask you to go hit. You know what I mean? Like, you want to, you know, anything you want to do, I'm here, but I'm not going to ask you to do it. And I think the biggest thing too, Cliffy, one thing I've learned with my kids, I know your son's a junior and he's an absolute stud, but my sons are both in college. And I've noticed my one son, Andrew, who was now a sophomore in college, and after going away and playing, playing some wood bat league ball this summer, he's come back. And I've always told them forever, like, you can't teach experience. You got to go through this and you got to figure it out. So, like, for me, watching them get away from me and home and not being like, oh, yeah, you have every amenity here. No, dude, you got to go get punched in the mouth. And I want to see how you respond after you're punched in the mouth. Like, that's the biggest thing, like, because I can't help you. You got to be able to help yourself when you get punched in the mouth and you get hit down. Right, Cliffy?
It's 100%, bro. And I'm not agreeing with you because I love you. I agree with you because it's facts. And facts is what these kids don't get. Like, my son, like, he looks at me when I'm bumping little baby in the truck. I'm like, bro, I'm not a hood cat. I just like what I like. I'm not a hood rat because I wear a Cuban link and diamond. Like, some people like to hunt and fish.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go buy a gun. I want to. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, God, so good.
So I look at him and I'm like, you know the worst thing with this shit is? You want your kids to be so fucking successful, so dope, that you almost like kill yourself. Like you start succumbing to the bullshit. Like all the shit that's happening, you like, man, I love this dude so much. And when I'm watching him, his mannerisms just don't match up, and I have to chill. You know, I have to take a step back and just watch him, man, and just be like, you know what? If he a great young man, I fucking gotta live with it. You know?
Yeah. Right. Well, I think Cliffy, it's exactly what you said before. You don't want your kids to look back with regret. That's the thing is like, I'm like, oh my God, guys, like I can tell you all this stuff and you obviously have to go through it. But like, I think one of the biggest reasons I'm telling you stuff is I don't want you to look back and regret. I don't want you to do some of the things that I did that didn't make me one of the best I could have been. So like, I'm telling you what it takes. I'm telling you how you got to think. I'm telling you there's got to be a little dog in you when you get out there. Like, you can't be people pleasing all the time. Like, you got to show up every play, every pitch, right? So I think that the parent I know in me, and it sounds like in you too, is like, bro, I'm telling you, I know what it takes. And like, you're either going to do it or you're not, you know?
Hey, take a look over your right shoulder. Look at all that shit on the wall. That's the left. Right. Look at all that shit behind you.
Right.
Sometimes just say less, man. Like, goddamn. I mean, what? I mean, this shit. That ain't no shit that you collected because as a fan. That's
right,
you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I tell them all the time, like, bro, I got trophies. I got World Series rings. I got Emmys. I got a high school education.
Right.
That's not patting myself on the back or being cocky. That's just like sometimes you're in the right situation at the right time and you take full advantage of opportunity. And that's whole thing playing out consistently every single day. I'm like, yo, even watching the game evolve and watching everything, and my circle's hella small because I don't mess with a lot of people, bro. I just don't. I'm a loner, dog. Like, I'm alone, and I'm cool with it. And I tell him all the time, I'm like, have associates, but get you a main homie. Get you a real homie that you can ride with. That's no, I was gonna shake his head when he be like, yeah. When you say something, yeah. I don't want no puppet. I want, so
Yeah.
That's just the way I live, man. If I had one do-over, I'll just be a different cat as far as getting out there and grinding with a cat like you, finding you, being like, damn, Case, what the hell you working out this? I need to be with you.
Right.
You feel?
Yeah.
It happened back in the day.
Right.
The other thing I can only imagine as like a dad, because I remember being in college and playing baseball, not nearly to the level you guys were, but like I remember something bad happened or I was wronged. I didn't get to start something, and I was in a car going back to my dad, and I go, it's just not fair. It's just not fair. And he stopped the car. He turned around and he goes, good, now you learned something. And I was like, what? And he goes, this life is not fair. It's not going to be fair. How you handle how you deal with diversity, how you deal with just horrible things that happen to you in your life. That's what makes you as a human being. And it's funny, like the older you get, the more it's so true. You look back at your parents and your grandparents and you're like, they were right. And now you guys being the parents, you're like, wait, no, now I know I'm right. You need to learn that I'm right. Learn soon. Learn as soon as you can.
And I see that every day, bro. I'm like, we going through that shit right now, Chinch. Right now. We got 2 All-Americans on the squad. Football. He loves the shit. Like, it's no longevity in that shit, but he loves it. All right. But it's like, he tells me, like, damn, I'm close. And I keep telling him, I'm like, you know what close was for me, bro? Not hitting the ball at the ballpark. I was in that lineup. Just missing off the end of the bat. Missing it. But I was playing. There's, this is why I chill, fellas. Because there's a lot of guys on the team. And if Case was playing and I wasn't, I would be a dope-ass cheerleader for Case to be successful. Like, that's for the beast. I mean, it's hard to accept being a cheerleader from a dude right now, and that's what I'm going through. Like, it's a lot. It's just a lot of going through that. Like, get you on the field, now you got a ball, you can't be complacent, all this shit, and it's just on the couch, man. I'm like, fuck, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
But it's worth it, so I keep grinding.
Going back, Petey, to your junior year when you got drafted, I read an article where you said that it was the first time you thought about not being 6'4" and 230, because somebody said you obviously know you're one of the best players in the game, and your eye-hand coordination elite, defensively, everything. And someone said, hey, listen, you might not be a high draft because of your size, right? And was that obviously not the first time you thought about it, but was that a chip on your shoulder you always carried? Like, nah, that doesn't matter.
Well, I didn't think about it until they do those. You have some meetings in the fall with scouts, like the area guys, and you go through the process. And I met with a Padre scout, and he goes, Dustin, we love you. And they were picking, I think they were actually picking first. I knew I was going to go first pick. I mean, let's just be real. So he says to me, he goes, you know what? I tell our people that you're the best player in the country. And if you were 3 or 4 inches taller, you'd be the first pick of the draft. So I remember when he said that to me, the only thing in my brain was, you would pick me first if I was this much taller?
Unreal.
And I said that to him. I said, sir, you know me. I tell everybody the truth. It's no lie. I looked at him and I said, so you mean to tell me you would call your boss and say 100% you're picking Dustin Pedroia first if he's that much taller? And he looked at me and he goes, yeah, I would, because I can justify that pick. And so I'll never forget that. And I took that into that season going, you know what? I don't care where I get drafted. Everyone's going to get drafted before me. I'm going to be better than all of them. And sure enough, that's why I'm so proud of playing with the Red Sox my whole career, because they're the team that drafted me. They're the team that said, and I was their first pick. They didn't pick anybody else before me. So when I got to them, they couldn't wait to pick me. They could give a shit about this. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why to play my whole career there, I'm so proud of that, because I didn't want to play for anybody else, because everyone else passed on me. Screw them. You know what I mean? I wanted to do it all for the team that went out on a limb and said, this is our guy.
Yeah, especially for a guy like Theo Epstein. Like, if you're getting drafted by Theo Epstein, you know he's broken down every analytic you can break down. Look at it. So when he's taking you with the first pick, he's not looking at anything but this guy's hand-eye coordination, bat to ball, work ethic. It's at another level. And I think, when I see you getting drafted by Theo, I think, man, this guy obviously knew what he was looking at.
Yeah, he did all right with that one.
He did all right.
Yes.
He did all right. Petey, dude, I've played with a lot of dudes. I played 12 years in the big leagues. I played with some of the greatest players ever. Ken Griffey Jr.'s, David Ortiz's, just down the line, a ton of great players. But dude, no one that I played with had the mentality you had, bro. I still remember 2008 when in the locker room, I think it was at spring training, I looked at you, I was like, dude, this guy must be jacked like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, for his size, the way he hits the ball, this guy must be ripped, slapjack Diesel. I'm going to get on his weightlifter, bro. I remember you took off your shirt. I'm like, wow, that's one of the best players in baseball. Next thing you know, you're winning that 2008 MVP. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? But the one thing was, when I heard you talk, bro, if you were on the other side of the room and you heard Dustin Pedroia talk, you'd say, oh, yeah, the guy on the other side of the wall, he's 6'7", 330, strong, most jacked human being that's ever lived. You know what I mean? Where did you get the mentality that you have, bro? Because I know that's what made you one of the greatest players of all time. Where did you get that?
I don't know. I've always had it. I just from playing as a little kid, my goal was always to win a game and have a presence about it and tell everybody I'm going to do it. You basically, you know how it is. Sometimes you talk yourself into things.
Right.
You could be struggling and you get in there and you're like, I'm all right. I'm going to get 3 hits today. And, but you have that feeling deep down where you're like, there ain't no fucking way I'm getting 3 hits. You know what I mean? So I think I'm always very positive, and I don't want anybody to see weakness in me, because you can't with me. I'm not very big. I like you said, with my shirt, I don't look good. I have to have a mindset that I'm not going to lose. It doesn't matter. You might beat me once or twice, but eventually I'm going to chop you down. and that was my mindset, and I had to have it, and that's just who I am.
Oh my God, dude, this is so good. When you got to the minor leagues, man, and talk about that mentality, because I was reading another article. They drafted you first, and obviously I know you were probably like, let's go, like William Wallace, to the moon, to the big leagues, right?
Yep.
And when you first got drafted, they were like, hey, let's do a little Dustin Pedroia plan. Let's have him come in and, can you talk about that? And then what happened, after they tried to do that to you?
Well, I get drafted. I sign. I tell them I'm not going to short season. I'm like, I don't have time for that. So they sent me to low A. Yeah, they sent me to low A Augusta, and we were in last place. I think we were 12 games out of first. And I get there, and they had Brandon Moss, who was the best player in the league. So I get there, and they say, you can't play for 5 to 6 days because, one, your contract has to go through MLB, which was BS. They thought I wasn't in shape because, obviously, when I take my clothes off, they're like, who in the hell is this guy? So I'm taking BP the first couple days, and I mean, me, my BP is not impressive. They hit me ground balls. I'll field every ground ball, throw it to first, right on time. It's not impressive. So our manager's calling, Ben Sherrington, who was our farm director, like, hey, man, this guy, like, he ain't ready. You know what I mean? I don't think he's ever going to be ready. And so Ben laughs, he's like, hey, he'll be fine. Don't worry. And so day 3 comes around. I tell the manager, I'm like, hey, listen, Chief, if you don't play me, I'm going home. I'll do something else. So he goes, first off, relax. And I said, no, I'm serious. So he doesn't play me the 3rd day. The 4th day, we go to Asheville, and I literally went in his office. And I grabbed the lineup card and I said, hey, man, I'm not in it. You might want to change that. It's time. So Dad Epperson, he goes, calls up, Ben, Theo, the whole group, and is like, hey, this guy's borderline insane, and he's threatening to leave if he doesn't play. He goes, he keeps saying I'm wasting his time. He's got other things to do, So finally he puts me in the lineup. And Case, it was a fucking rocket show from the start. I went 4 for 4. I go 4 for 4 with like 4 RBIs, 5 runs scored. I walked. We ended up winning the game. We killed them. We win 9 in a row. We get in 3 brawls. We end up sweeping the number 1 team to tie for first place because they went on a losing streak. So we're in first. The manager comes in. That it's like the 12th day I'm there, and he sits me down. He goes, "Hey, you want a beer?" I'm like, "No, I don't want no damn beer. What the hell are you talking about?" You know, we just won a ball game. I ain't drinking no beer. You know me. I don't drink. I don't need.
Yeah, I know.
So he's like, hey man, I was happy to coach you. I didn't think a lot of you at the start. He goes, but you're going to high A. You got no business being here. You were right. And I'm like, you damn right. I got no business being here. What the hell's the matter with you? So they moved me and Brandon Moss up together, and we caught up with like David Murphy, Pap, Lester, Manny Del Carmen. So we all came up together. And it was fun.
Man, Petey, you got to be kidding me. Like, Dustin Pedroia, one of the greatest characters I played with, one of the greatest characters Major League Baseball has ever seen, one of the best players, too. And it's just so funny to hear that story about him, coming at that minor league coach and tell him, no, you know what? I'm playing tonight. Tonight's a night. Right. And he never stopped. So great.
And it's, it's cool, like, for a person who didn't play professional baseball like me and most of the people that are listening, it's like that discipline you guys had and just the fight inside you to get to that mountaintop where you wanted to be in your career and what you want to do with your life. And it's funny because we haven't just had baseball players on. We've had actors, and we're going to try to get some comedians on soon. But the one thing I've noticed from the side when you talk to like the people who have been on screen rather than being on a baseball field, you do have a very similar path, all of you guys. Like, it's all about discipline. It's all about work. It's all about beating the next guy. And it's been really cool to see you interact with some of these actors and see how it's a very similar path, even though one's a physical thing and the other one's probably more of a vocal mental thing, right?
Yeah, well, I think that there's a very similar path between actors and athletes and the work that goes into it, all that preparation, meeting opportunity, all the things that have to go right in this industry. I think that's why it was really cool to have Jerry Ferrara on and Mike O'Malley, because it's so relatable, being an actor and being an athlete. There's so many things that are relatable, and it was just really cool though to hear them are both big baseball fans too. Ferrara's a big Yankee fan, and O'Malley's a big Red Sox fan. Just cool to hear their love for baseball and that side of them too, outside of acting, which is really cool for us to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cool thing is, what you're about to hear right now is you're going to see how those paths cross between guys like Sean and the actors and stuff, because you're going to hear from Jerry Ferrara talking about Doc Gooden. You're going to hear about Mike O'Malley talking about fighting Johnny Bench once. But that's all coming up right now. Check it out.
You gear up for an experience. You feel like it's a I don't want to say a linear progression, but it's like you're progressing to this, you're climbing this peak. Oh my God, I had my own show. And you think you're going to be Seinfeld, Roseanne, Everybody Loves Raymond. You think, wait a minute, I'm good. The writing's going to be great. People like me. Why won't it be great? Meanwhile, you're not paying attention to every year there's 40 shows that get canceled. Plenty of very talented people who people are like, that thing stinks. You're not, because again, you're not paying attention to the thing, it's Sean, when we were talking about, you're getting a coach or getting a team or getting a scout to be, all is that somebody else didn't call you. You're not listening to them say, this guy's terrible.
Right.
Slowest person. He's it's like people are like, for me, it's like, this guy's not, he's not funny. He's not attractive. He's not, we don't want him. You don't hear any of that. So you think it's just like, oh, I didn't get the job. I came close. Like, you don't know what they're really saying behind the scenes is, this guy's terrible. Everyone I went to college with, I want to punch in the face. And then you go do your show, and then people start writing that in the reviews. How the hell? And then it's like, people are like, how did this guy? That was the whole thing back then is, how is this guy get a show? So many other people who should get a show. How does this guy get a show? And there's only, when you get these successful back then, like now, with this 500 television shows, right? I just did the show Heels, which is the thing that one of the things I'm most proud of in my entire career. And how do people even know about it? How do they even find out about it? I mean, back in the day, you'd be like, all right, Tuesday night, what do we want to do? Well, we're not going to go to the movies. There's not a game on. Let's sit down and see what's on NBC. Yeah. Boom. And you'd sample it. I mean, I think that now, if the Michael Malley show was on network television right now, we'd be like the biggest hit ever if you looked at the ratings that we actually had then. And so I think for me, it was very shocking to have that public failure and your name, that my own fault, right, for having my name on it, because people are like, it's almost like that show is terrible. It's like people say, you're terrible. You're terrible. Right. You're gonna go away. Thank God, never come back. Never go away. And but I think that I had, in part because no one enjoyed college more than me. I had a tremendous amount of friends. I had, I have great parents, great brothers, great brother, great sisters, great, extended family who, and I had great agents. That's a part of it. Is I had an agent who's just like, although this was terrible, one of my agents goes, "Yeah, you're just gonna have to lay low for a while." All I did was a sitcom. He just wanted to do a sitcom. But then you do have people who are then on your side and rooting for you. And I think that I find it very interesting when you see an awards show, especially when it deals with Hollywood, and everyone is in such a hurry to get this speech over and done with. When in fact, anyone I think who's standing up there getting an award, there's probably an audience, a massive audience of unseen people behind them that have had to say, yes, you should read this guy. Yes, you should audition this guy. Yes, we think this guy's good. Yes. I mean, there's so many people behind who have to be there for you. And so I think that's because of that. Then 6 months later, I got it was about 6 months later. It was about March of the next year that I was cast in Yes Dear.
Wow.
And we did 6 seasons.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, and you played Jimmy, who I love that show. I love that show. But one of the things was, obviously, that was, I think, what propelled you to another level, Mikey. But one of the things you were talking about today, we were talking about some baseball stories. You're like, hey, listen, in one of the episodes, I got a chance to go toe to toe with Johnny Bench. Can you tell us about? Can you tell us? We had Johnny on our podcast a few weeks ago. I can't wait to talk to him about it. But.
By the way, so Johnny Bench, Ernie Banks, and Frank Robinson did an episode of Yes Dear, and that was one of the great things about doing Yes Dear. We had such great guest cast members that would come in, and this is what's funny about sitcom television. It's Ernie Banks, who's probably 30 years old. How much older is he than Johnny Bench? I don't know. Maybe not 30 years, but significant. Frank, and they apparently. So Dick Van Dyke's brother, Jerry Van Dyke, God rest his soul, he played my father on the show, and apparently had welched on some gambling debts. And so these guys came to track him down. And so in the episode, we get into a fist fight and a wrestling match. John Bench, Frank Robinson, and Ernie Banks.
My God.
And it's hilarious. So even when I think about the fact that I am wrestling with Johnny Bench, later on in the show, I get the fist fight with Gordie Howe. And so I'm like, I thought the character I was playing thought I was dying, and I had a wish list, and one of them was to get into a fight with Gordie Howe. And so I feel like So I go to a charity hockey tournament, and I'm just like, and Corey House is being a nice guy. I'm like, hey, man. And he's like, hey, it's really nice being out here raising money for the kids. I'm like, yeah, you look stupid. What? He's like, punch you in the face. Like, I'm just trying to get him into beating, and then beats the crap out of my character, and I'm there like, oh my God, I got beat up by Corey House. I was not this, my character wasn't the smartest guy in the world.
Oh my God, it's so great.
So great.
It is great, man. The things that you get to do, like the fact that Johnny Bench, Ernie Banks, and Frank Robinson, Gordie Howe are on set with him. It's unbelievable.
This is what's fun about doing sitcoms. They're just ridiculous. I mean, the fact that in a fist fight with Johnny Bench. I wish I could have gotten a fist fight with him in '75 in the World Series. The Red Sox would have won in '75. That's what I really did. It was funny talking to Johnny. He's like, Red Sox fans act like Fisk's home run was the end of that World Series.
Yeah. It was only Game 6. Everyone thinks that Fisk homer was Game 7. Like, no, it was Game 6, and the Reds won it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh. So obviously, dude, so many other things, the Glee and all that stuff down the line. But the one show I want to talk about right now is the show you're on Stars, which I watched the other night in Heels. I'm a huge wrestling fan, man. So like this, when you had sent me the trailer for this a few weeks ago, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for this to come out. And the cast has been great. Can you talk about the cast members and
Sure.
Obviously you're Charlie Gully too, so you're in the show, but you're running the show. You're the showrunner for this show, Heels, which is going to be a unbelievable show. So can you just talk about that, how you did the casting and some of the guys you guys have?
Sure. So I had done a show, created a show for Stars about 6 years ago called Survivor's Remorse, where I worked with one of your old bosses, Tom Werner, and owner of the Red Sox, and Maverick Carter and LeBron James, and I had such a great time making that show and a great experience that Stars called me up and said, hey, we have this project written by this guy, Michael Waldron. Would you come in and be the showrunner? Michael Waldron's working on Loki and writing a Star Wars movie, and we need someone to sort of be the head coach of this project, which is what a showrunner is. And I was like, I read the scripts. It's basically set in the independent professional world in Georgia. So just like we were talking about earlier, there are farm teams. There are not necessarily officially designated farm teams, all of them. There are, pro, semi-pro, where you pay $5 to come see some local wrestling at a local venue. And these guys have dreams, some of them, to go and become the biggest stars in the world as professional wrestlers. And so it's a family-owned business in southwestern Georgia, where these guys get dressed up every weekend and go out and try to become professional wrestlers. And what does it do to people who have aspirations, they have creative dreams, they're maybe in a place where they can't see the forest through the trees, they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, yet other people, it's like all across this country, you can go to local theaters and see local actors putting on Death of a Salesman or The Crucible or Grease. And to them, when they put on those productions, it means as much to them as if they were opening on Broadway or opening at a major regional theater and everyone was coming in black tie and a big. And so it's the same for these professional wrestlers. You guys know because you deal with this all the time. Guys could be playing in a championship of a Division III college baseball game. It's as important to them, that moment and that pressure, as it would be if they were in the World Series. And so this is in part what the show is about. How do you, if you have creative dreams and aspirations to be a professional wrestler, what the storytelling is about, how it all works, how complicated it is, how much work and effort and sweat equity goes into doing these things. What is the toll that takes on a family, on a marriage, on personal lives? If these guys, when they do themselves, they don't have a whole training room. They can't get platelets shot into their knee or deer antler spray, Germany or wherever they get it. I mean, they're just, but they're trying to have their lives mean something other than the day-to-day roteness of working class life.
And you guys have 6 degrees of separation from a Doc Gooden story. because Jerry, you were at a pretty big Doc Gooden game.
Oh, yeah.
And I told Sean about that, and Sean was like, well, Doc Gooden has something to do with my career. So, Jerry, tell yours first.
So I'm thinking this is 90. What did we say? Well, it was 93 or was it? It was before the championship. It was 95, maybe.
Could be 95.
Maybe not. I think it was 95, and I was 15 years old. We got tickets to some random, Yankees Mariners game. We of course wanted to go. None of us had licenses, so we had to talk our friend John, who took his mom's caddy, and we were like, John, we got an extra ticket for you. Oh, he's like, you really? And you're driving us to the game. So we went to Yankees, Mariners. There's still Griffey and I think Tino. So we're there, and we haven't really experienced championships, so we're watching, and we look up in the seventh inning. It's like, oh wow, Dwight Gooden's throwing a no-hitter, and next thing you know, from inning 7 to the end, the place just got electric, and we felt what it would feel like if there was a World Series going on. It's the old stadium, of course. The energy was great. And sure enough, Doc Gooden throws a no-hitter. I still have the ticket stub. Wow. And you would have thought, the Yankees won the World Series. Walking out of that building, the fans were going crazy because we were not yet winning the way we would go on to win. So, I saw Doc Gooden's no-hitter.
That is so cool, especially for all he did with the Mets and then coming to the Yankees and throwing a no-hitter is so cool. I was very fortunate, man. I look back at my career and I'm like, I can't believe I played with that guy and that guy. And a lot of guys when I was coming up were on their way out, and Doc was one of them. So in 1998, my first big league camp with the Cleveland Indians, Doc and I lockered next to each other. I mean, the sweetest, best freaking dude, Jerry. I was literally same way that I was asking Chipper Jones for an autograph. I'm like, I can't believe Doc Gooden's next to me. You got to be kidding me. It's so cool. But it's funny because, I think Doc Gooden might have got my career started in a little different way than he probably doesn't even know. I got sent back to AAA because I had a good camp, but I was behind a guy named Jim Tomey. So they're like, hey, take your bags and go back to Buffalo. You're a tired act. So
I heard of that guy.
Yeah, pretty good guy. Only a statue at Jacobs Field, no big deal. So I go down to Buffalo, and we're in AAA, and Doc Gooden's coming down to start a few innings just to get his innings in. We're about to break camp. I believe opening day is the next day. So Doc Gooden goes out, throws 3 innings. In the 4th inning, boom, he hurts his knee. Right? I don't think anything of it. But a couple of days earlier, Chad OJ had gone down, so that the Indians had a great team, just lost a Game 7 in '97, and they needed pitching. So we get off the bus, Jer, and I'm getting ready to get my bags, and it's my first day back down from big league camp. One of the Mark Shapiro grabs me. He's like, "Hey, need to talk to you real quick." John Hart gets on the phone. The GM, he's like, "Hey, we got good news and bad news, Case." He's like, "The bad news is you've been traded." He's like, "The good news is you're going to the big leagues with the Cincinnati Reds." So had Doc Gooden not hurt his knee that day, I'm probably in AAA for 4 more years with the Indians. But because he did, they traded the Reds traded Dave Berber, their number 1 starter, for me straight up 14 hours before opening day. So I just want to thank Doc. If he ever watches this podcast, he probably won't ever. But thank you, Doc, for maybe hurting your knee. But you were good after that, though.
I mean, that just goes to show you too, right? Just how, and it's like that with the entertainment business as well. And I think it's like that. It's about opportunity. And a lot of people never think they get opportunities, and they say, oh, I wish and maybe that's true. But I also think that staying ready for when that opportunity comes and recognizing it is half the battle. Doc Gooden in Buffalo hurting his knee, getting innings in changes the course of your, who knows what happened. I still think when you're good, you would have. No. I mean, you would have been in the majors no matter what for a long time. But that path was just crazy.
I agree. My dad used to always tell me, "Luck is preparation meeting opportunity." Your opportunity is going to come one day, but be prepared when it does. And you're right. Something happens, boom, but you're ready to go. You're ready to make that step, which is pretty cool. Hey, let's shift gears here too, bro, because Chinch and I have been doing our research. And by the way, when I was in Brooklyn, where were we? Pier 60, or I was out there was 17 basketball courts.
Yeah.
I was like, this is unbelievable. There was a roller rink, a basketball court, bocce, ping pong. I'm like, only in Brooklyn. Are you kidding me? They got all this. You walk out of your house, you're on this pier on the water, on the Hudson. You got all this action, and it looks like a ton of people go out and play hoops in Brooklyn. And you were a pretty good hooper, right? Because we've seen it. Chinch, you got some footage you can throw out there?
Pull it up in a second. Keep talking about it though.
But I was saying, first off, if you live in Brooklyn, do you just have to hoop? And also too, listen, dude, you're not the biggest of white men out there, and I'm sure you know what I'm saying. Like, I'm sure in Brooklyn, you got to really ball to get out on those courts. But we watched some of some of the you can hoop, dude.
There's some tape
saw
out
your
there.
shot.
I got some tape.
Yeah, we got
I
some
think
tape.
I got it. Let's see.
Oh,
Chinch,
no.
can you find it? Yeah.
By the way, I hope it's from when I was young. Well, I don't know, but
let's find out here. You guys seeing this? First of all,
oh god,
look at the
by the
intro.
way, just so you know, with this game, right?
Yeah.
That's the All-Star game in LA, the Celebrity All-Star game. I got benched for Justin Bieber. Okay.
No, what? First of all, look at this.
By the way, that's over
stop down and
Jason
look at
Williams
the
right
form.
there. Bang.
Wow.
So,
Dude.
by the way, I was so excited about that game, right? And we're there in the locker room, in Staples Center. They got your jerseys out, like it's all exciting. I'm talking to Tracy McGrady. I'm like, this is amazing. And then I just hear this rumble in the tunnel of like people, and I feel like I hear girls scream, and like I'm like, what's going on? And I look out, and there's Justin Bieber's here. I'm like, oh, cool. He's come to watch the celebrity game because he is not slated to be there. He used to play. He used to play in the game. He crossed someone over one year, and he hasn't played in like years. So next thing you know, he's like coming, and he's in our locker room. I'm like, okay, what's up, man? I say hello, and next thing I know, I see people scramble, and they bring out a jersey for him. I'm like, oh, are you playing? And sure enough, I already talked. I think our coach was Rachel Nichols. I was inserted in the starting lineup, and then I was benched. And I think I played a total of 8 minutes. I only had 2 shot attempts. And at one point, I even was like, I talked to Amin Al Hassan. I'm like, get me in this game. And it was like, it ain't us. Bieber's here. And he played. Yeah, so I got no minute. I got benched for Bieber. And I get it. People want to watch him way more than me. I just wanted to play. I take those celebrity games. I would have been the one actually trying to win.
I was gonna say, did they not see the rotation on that 3? That was absolutely money. That ball was rotating perfectly.
It was beautiful. So yeah, man. Look, basketball is in New York, and basketball are always just synonymous, right? And baseball was my first love. Like I played baseball. We were 1 game away from getting to the Little League World Series in Williamsport when I was a kid. Wow. It was I was not a good baseball player. I a decent hitter. I was terrible in the field. So they just stuck me. They stuck me in left field. Whoever's not pulling the ball that day. And but I was a good bench guy. But basketball. Look, I think the reason is there's so many hoops in all of New York, right? Little mini playgrounds, and all you need is a ball, right? The only piece of equipment you need. Like, I loved hockey as a kid. I couldn't keep up with the equipment nor afford it, right? I had goalie pads. My mom used to make me leave them outside because they stunk. Those things smell terribly. Same thing with like golf. I love golf now. We talked about golf texting and stuff. I didn't own a set of golf clubs, but with basketball in New York, you just grab a ball and just walk outside, and you're bound to run into a basketball hoop somewhere. So that was kind of the origin. And then I fell in love with the Knicks, which was a mistake. Still love them to this day, but no ring for me there. But yeah, man, I just grew up, and my high school, I went to public school, and it was just so competitive. Like, our rivals were Lincoln High School, and their lead point guard when I was like a freshman, sophomore was Stephon Marbury. And there's just so many great players that came out of New York, and I still love the game. I still play. I actually played a couple of hours ago. I met my friend in the playground. We played a little one-on-one, got some jumpers up. It's how I stay in shape now. But man, I'm slowing down. I'm slowing down.
Well, it's funny that I played hoops a few years ago too when I was done playing, but I was like, I went to make a move and like nothing really moved right. I'm like, wait, what happened there? What happened? Like, I used to nail that move,
The number one way men above the age of 30 get injured is pickup basketball. It is true. Every little dumb nagging thing I got going on is from some pickup game when I was like 34 years old where I'm diving for a loose ball. No, my game now is different. I don't play defense much. Like, if you get by me, just go. I don't really drive. I have a good 3 now, and I stick to behind the line. I just pull my face out there a lot because I don't want to get no elbows in the grill. And it's about exercise. That's all I clap, and I just keep saying it's about exercise, guys. Let's just get out of here safely.
Yeah, just don't hurt me on the rebounds, right? Don't hurt me on the rebounds. I don't need an elbow.
Yeah. I don't rebound. I'm 5'6", barefoot. I don't go down there.
You're cherry picking the three.
Hustling is for young guys. Hustling is for young guys. The hustle goes away once you get to the mid-30s age group, I would say.
When it matters, right? Like for me, if we're gonna start hustling, dying for balls, we gotta be playing for a lot of money or something. Like this isn't my job. I don't do this for a living, clearly. So
Hey Jerry, you were talking about meeting Tracy McGrady at those games and how cool that is. Like when you were doing the Entourage years and like how awesome that was. It seemed like on those shows there was so many different cameos of guys, and I know for me, bro, like being a baseball player, like to meet actors and to meet musicians, you're like, oh man, I wish I could have sang or played guitar. I wish I could have acted. You know what I mean? All I can do is hit a baseball. You know, that's how your mind goes. You know what I mean? But who were like, do you have, like, give me like 4 or 5 guys that had cameos on Entourage that you're like, wow, is this going to be a great day with so-and-so showing up?
Yeah, like, and it's funny too, like, because in the beginning when we first started, we could barely, like, we used to have, Mark Wahlberg used to have to beg people to come on the show because, you know, no one knew what the show was. And
like our
I think
show
for
right
a lot
now.
of people, I think for a lot of people, like, playing themselves, they didn't know if we were like making fun of them. And that's never what it was about. If you wanted to poke fun at yourself, that was always your call. Like, that was always left up to the person doing the cameo, you know, but for the most part, we want to make you look good and have some fun. But I do have to say, and not that he needs any more acclaim from anybody else, but not only was Tom Brady a lot of fun and great to work with, but he kind of bailed us out of a jam because that episode, there was an episode where Brady and Wahlberg play in a charity golf tournament versus Vince and his brother, right? And they start betting money. That part initially was written by our creator, Doug Allen. It was supposed to be, and he's a huge Giants fan, it was supposed to be Eli and Peyton Manning versus the brothers versus Vinny and Johnny Chase. And and I think it was Eli and Peyton asked to be on the show. We had a list of people who like called and wanted cameos on the show. So we wrote that whole thing. We're like 2-3 weeks away from shooting and they drop out and they don't really give a reason and they're out. Now you got 2 choices, right? You could gut the entire script and say, we got to move on from this and figure out a whole new script, which I don't, and I wrote for the show in some of the later seasons. So I was in the writer's room for this part. Or, you know, the benefits of having your executive producer being Mark Wahlberg is Mark calls in and he's like, you want me to get Tom? And we're all like, Tom, who, Selleck? Who are you talking about? And he's like, no, you want me to call Brady? And we're like, yeah, bro, you can go ahead, pick up the phone. And within like 2 hours, he's like, yeah, Brady's in. I'll play the other part. Keep the episode as in. Let's go. And this was the year Brady was just coming off his injury year against the Chiefs when he, I think he tore his ACL, total knee blowout, right, when they rolled up on him.
Yeah.
But no one really saw him for a while. He hadn't played football in a year, and he showed up 5 a.m. at a golf course in L.A. Couldn't have been nicer. Was prepared, knew his lines, got on the tee box, hit like a 290-yard drive down the middle, and it was like, who is that? What the Jesus, this guy's great. And the most important thing was, too, he was cool to the whole entire crew. Signed footballs for the crew members, and like just great. And again, not that he needs any more acclaim from me because he's got it all. That was dope. We had LeBron on. That was pretty cool. An episode I didn't get to be in, we shot at Yankee Stadium, and we had Teixeira did a cameo, A-Rod did a quick little cameo. As a Yankee fan, that was amazing. It was really the most unique thing. There would be days on the call sheet, right? The thing they give us at the end of every night that tells us what we're going to shoot the next day, right? And it's like, okay, in the morning, we're shooting with Phil Mickelson. And then after lunch, we got Kanye West coming in. And then we have a late night scene. It's Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire. That's an amazing day. And then the next day, it's like, it's Scarlett Johansson, Jessica Alba. It was surreal. It did not feel like real life. And I think that's what the show was like escapism, you know?
Yeah. Wow, that is so cool, man. That is so cool. Chinch, I knew we would somehow get Tom Brady on the show.
That might be the only way, but we'll keep trying.
Dude, I love it, man. I love listening to Jerry tell that story about how Tom Brady kind of saved the day for Entourage, you know, when they were like the biggest things going. And, you know, I think that's what I love about the mayor's office. That's what I love about, you know, this platform, this podcast, is that, you know, we do get some awesome stories from our guests. it seems like, these guys get comfortable and they want to tell us good stories. And I think that's been one of the coolest things. And that's what we talked about. We started this podcast to tell the stories. I know I have so many stories from like just growing up, but also my time in the big leagues and even afterwards. There's so many stories embedded in my mind. I'm like, the fans need to hear the stories. The fans need to hear these guys talk about things that have happened to them. And I know I like to too. So I just think it's really cool hearing Jerry and Mike and those guys talk about some of the stories that are just next level. And it's just, that's why we started this thing.
Exactly. And one of the most exciting things for me and the most fun experience I've had doing this show with you is seeing like these people in their real life environments. And some of the funny, first of all, we like to have fun, right? The other thing is we want to have fun on this show. But the fact that these guys are like real life guys, you always ask them about, hey, how's your kids? How's your family? How's your dad? I met your dad, whatever. Our next segment, Sean, I'll just give like a little tee up to you about it. And then we're going to listen to this. Nothing better has happened on this show than when we were about to set up and hit record on a podcast, and Todd Frazier had a little bit of an issue, right?
Yes. What's funny is with this bit, I was trying to send you an email or Frazier an email, and I hit start streaming by accident. I'm like, oh my God, am I streaming? And I got all flustered. Next thing you know, Frazier's like, hey, Case, that jersey, he went jersey on me. He's like, hey, Case, hang on a second. I got to change a poopy diaper, But the great thing was it was gold, Chinch, because I got it all on video and on my phone. It was like probably the greatest gold we've had in our 20 episodes.
Unbelievable. And by the way, you haven't heard the second part of this. Sean has a story within that story that he tells Todd while he's changing his diaper that you will not want to miss. So we're going to kick the next segment off with Todd Frazier and a dirty diaper.
No poops in your pants?
Did you go poops in your pants? Oh my God. Hey, Frazier. At the top, up where it has nofilter.net, you see that little refresh button? Can you hit that refresh?
Give me 1 second. I got to change the diaper.
Okay, go ahead. Change the diaper.
That's all right.
No problem, bro. This is real life stuff.
Right. But you're supposed to go on the pod. Yeah, you're chilling. Daddy's trying to do something. You're not going to know that. Keep doing this. Oh, that's heinous, bro. That's heinous. Days, you remember these days.
You kidding me? I got 4 kids. I was changing more poops. It was like I was the poop master for years.
God, Grant. This is really bad. Really bad.
Bro, you want to hear an unbelievable story? When my son Jake was like 1.5, he came in the clubhouse after the game. He was like 2. We had just got done with the game. I'm in the training room. Matty Krause comes in. He's like, Case, we got a problem. I was like, what happened? He's like, I think your son pooped his pants in the weight room. And not only did he poop his pants, he stepped in his own poop and then was running around the weight room. So, dude, here I am after a big league game making $8.5 million, full uni on the ground, scrubbing poop off the freaking.
Can't let the club be doing you like that. I got this.
Yeah, I was like, I got this, bro. I was like, don't touch my son's poop. I got it.
That's tough, right, Grant? Yeah.
Oh my God.
Bless your heart, bro.
Bless your heart.
Oh God, how do you want to sit that all the time? We're on the last night here. Let's clean her up.
Oh my God.
On the potty, please. Yeah, he's 2 years old. He'll pee, but he won't poop on the potty.
Dude, my son Andrew, when he was first trying to get him to go poop, he'd go hide in the corner. And I look at him like, what are you doing, bro? Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing? Are you pooping your pants? He's like, he's grinding through it.
Good? Yeah. You feel better now, dude?
You feel better? He said, yeah. He said, you feel better? He said, yeah.
Which character played by a famous Brooklyn celebrity, would win in a fight? Daniel LaRussa or Turtle?
Oh, Turtle. I got to go with Turtle, man. He would take Ralph Macchio. Ralph Macchio would go with the crane. He'd be like, boom, I'm Turtle again. Brooklyn.
Yeah, I feel like Turtle would know the crane kick is coming.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like Turtle doesn't fight fair. I feel like he also would sweep the leg, you know, and if Miyagi's not around to, you know, repair the injury, I feel like it's an easy victory.
He's going beautiful. Cobra Kai. Right. Cobra Kai. Sweep the leg, Johnny. Because I got to get up early, get rolling, and get things going. Like, do you find the same stress I do as far as getting the kids off to school?
No. Because you make coffee nervous. I mean, it's just like.
All right. True or false? Al Leiter is the biggest close talker you've ever met.
True.
Excellent. When your kid comes home from like a practice and like they got the elbow up and like his stance is all screwed up, like how does Dustin Pedroia talk to a coach and be like, "I got this," or do you let them be coached?
Nowadays, you enter these tournaments and they're giving out rings, and I'm like, listen, that's not a ring, guys. If you want to see rings, come on over to my house. I'll let you polish my tree. Okay. So,
you can only listen to one of these Jersey boys for the rest of your life. Frankie Valli, Frank Sinatra, Bon Jovi, or Springsteen. You got to pick one.
Oh, man. I'm going to have to go with Springsteen, man. The boss. I got to go with the boss.
Man, because I love Frankie Valli with all my heart. Like, but you can't go with old Blue Eyes, man. I'm going with Sinatra for sure. Frankie Valli's right there, you know.
There you go.
You know, like, I don't know how he hits those notes. It's unbelievable.
Can you talk about the fans of New York playing for the Mets, and if that was a good idea or not?
First of all, it's the worst fucking idea I've ever. They're the most intelligent fans, by the way.
Really?
Like if I call you in the clubhouse and be like, "Hey, these people booing us, dog. Let's come together and do something for us." They're not taking to the damn media.
Right. That's crazy.
What's wrong with you? Like, are you just too big? Are you bigger than the game in that sense? Or you just be like, man, I don't care what y'all say. I'm gonna tell you about yourselves because y'all trash. You play for the fans. You play with pride. If they booing you, the scoreboard ain't never lied. The scoreboard is average up there or homers up there, pointing the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like when they boo my ass, you know what I used to always say? This, you got to find a reason why they booing you and get over it. You know what I used to say, Case? Well, hell, they booed Piazza. Oh, fuck, I'm good.
I can go back and watch those. What is the origin story of what made Freddy Krueger so upset?
Didn't he get burned? He got burned or something. He's like,
why he's like a pedophile. That's why they burned
him.
So
I'm gonna put a freaking 7 knives on my hand and just start killing people.
I have no empathy for the burnt pedophile.
There you go.
I ended up proving that I was in perfect shape, and I had to wear a big old knee brace the whole year, like Fernando Montez.
Oh my God, bro!
I've heard about this guy.
You have? We have CC. This is so great. Let's go into Fernando Montez.
Yeah, Fernando Montez.
Oh God! Oh God!
Oh my God! Like, he had me in Cleveland running around the fucking track in snowshoes and doing all kind of bullshit. Like I literally fucking hated spring training. Fucking Warrior Run. Bro, do you remember like Winter Haven up there by that orange dome? They used to mark the lines off and like the whole organization to be out there seeing who didn't finish. And if you didn't finish, you had to come in every day early for fat camp because you couldn't run a 1,000-yard shuttle in under 3 fucking minutes.
Oh my God! And we're going down the hill there.
Down the hill.
I see Manny Ramirez riding by on a bike with no seat on it. And I'm like, wait, isn't that one of the best hitters in the game? They're like, hey, Fernando's got him in fat camp, and I mean he's got no seat, and if he doesn't just keep going, he's gonna rack his nuts. You know what I mean?
Oh man,
Man, that brings back some bad memories, Fernando Montez. That was like, who'd have thought that if you take a seat off a bike, that you can get these big leaguers in great shape. It was like we were in Marine boot camp, and I was like, are we trying to make the Cleveland Indians, or are we at Marine boot camp here,
The most amazing thing is that there's multiple people that have multiple Fernando Montes stories. Like that guy had an impact on all of your lives.
We're gonna have many more guests on, and we have to make sure if they've come across Fernando Montes, we got to get that in there.
Dude, we got to get Fernando on. Fernando, if you're watching, we got to get you on.
Yes.
But what's amazing too is the greatest thing about this is, like, again, your relationships with these guys, and the conversations get so in depth that sometimes it's not all about jokes. Like, I mean, it's just amazing to hear the life these guys have had and the battles they've had to get here and to get to this place to be, famous celebrities. But at the same time, they fought through things, and nobody has more of an amazing story of his life than Danny Graves. And here's where it started.
It's pretty crazy, man. Like, while I was playing, I didn't really think anything of it. Like, my whole story was, yes, my dad was in the war, and during the Vietnam War, I was born, and we came back here. Right. Like, to me, that was who I was. And so I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but like, as my career went on, that was one of the things that people always talked about. And I'm like, wow, I guess that is pretty cool that I was the first and only one at this time. And so then I ended up going back to Vietnam with Brian Gumbel and HBO Real Sports. We did a thing.
2006,
2006, yeah, and it was pretty intense, pretty emotional. And
what was emotional?
Well, a lot of things. One, I took my mom back, and she didn't want to go back because of the memories, and like she has a sister there and a brother there. She wanted nothing to do with going back to Vietnam. She thought that if we went, that they would keep her, because Fall of Saigon, I don't know how familiar you are with the story. The Fall of Saigon, they told the military guys, get out now, or else, it's kind of like what's going on now with Afghanistan.
I was just going to say, Jesus.
Or you're stuck. So we got out right away.
So was she? They were taking helicopters off the roof, right? Was your mom in? Was she one of the people that?
We weren't one of those, because that was.
And how old were you at the time?
14 months old. Wow. So those, all the video and stuff, that's like the last couple helicopters that remained in Vietnam. So we got out before that, like days before that on planes. So we didn't have to get stuck on trying to fight.
So your dad was in the military?
He was in the military. My mom worked at the U.S. Embassy at the time, so that's where they met. And so when they told us to get out, my dad's like, we're going. Like, we don't need any of this stuff. Let's get out of here. So we left. But my mom always felt like if we went back, they would keep her. Like they would, because the communist country. She thought that. She thought that if we go back, that they're not going to let us out of the country. Well, we went with people from Washington, and they said they can't keep you. We will make sure they don't keep you. So we even when we left there, filling out the paperwork with the passport and all that stuff, like, she was so nervous, and the guy that was in charge with the Vietnam government that was working with us, that was there, walked up to the person doing the passport and said something and grabbed our stuff, and we walked away. Like, it was just like that. What? Yes. So he's like, don't even mess with them, and let us go. So my mom was relieved. She's actually gone back again since, but like, it was a very intense moment because she was scared to death, like, that they wouldn't let us go past that spot. But he said, they're leaving. They're not staying here. But, I got to hear a lot of stories from my mom there. It was 33 years that she wasn't there. So I left, 14 months old. We go back, and I'm 33 or 34 now at the time. She hadn't seen her sister or brother since 1974 when we left. Like, they'd talked, but, hadn't seen her in person. So we got wind of when she was coming. So HBO, and they all had the cameras on, like, the exact moment that they saw each other for the first time in 33 years.
Oh my gosh. What was that? What was that?
Everybody was crying. Gumbel was crying. His wife was crying. I was crying. Like, everybody that was around. Ezra, I can't remember his last name. He directed the O.J. Simpson movie that was out a couple years ago. He was the producer of the show. He was crying. Like, everybody was like just in tears, and it was so amazing. Like, yeah. So I could go on and talk about this.
What was it like over there?
It's a beautiful country.
Yeah.
Like,
Are they? Were you over there to promote baseball? Were you over there to get your mom back?
no,
Like, what was
to
it?
promote baseball.
Yeah.
And so one thing was to promote baseball. The other was there's a project. It's called Project Renew.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's still called that now, but at the time that's what it was. Where Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund would raise money to go and blow up live artillery. So at the time there was like 900,000 tons of live artillery, so rockets and bombs that were underground that never blew up, like from the war, like from decades ago.
Wow.
And as the years go by, the artillery's coming up and the rockets were starting to come up and they would blow up.
Oh my God.
So they would, yeah. So we built a field, and when they cleared that field, there was like 900 tons of live artillery on this baseball field.
What?
Alone. Yeah, a high school baseball field. So,
Oh my gosh, dude.
so they took us to this area where they had a lot of them blocked off, and like you could get close up and see, like there were rockets from like the planes and stuff, like literal rockets, and like, why are we standing here? Like,
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And we went to this one village where they're like cement buildings, like for their homes, probably as big as this room right here. But that was enough for them, in the village. And 2 weeks before we got there, this guy's village blew up because of one of the bombs that came up. So one of the people that were with us donated money to buy him a new house, and it cost like $3,000. And you would have thought he just won a gazillion dollars in the lottery. Like it was the most amazing thing. They were so grateful for that. But like, there's so many things happening still that are killing a lot of innocent people there because of the war. And whatever people's views are against the war, it is what it is.
Yeah.
If it wasn't there, I wouldn't be here. So we even had somebody offer their baby to us.
Wow,
to
really?
bring home. Yeah,
Wow.
because they knew we'd give them a better life in America. My mom was like, we can't take your baby. Like, even if we wanted to, we couldn't. We can't take your baby. We went back to the apartment that we lived in.
Cool.
The people that were living there, they're on TV with us. Like, they let us come in and do the show in that house. And my mom was telling Brian Gumbel, like, she didn't tell me any of this stuff. Like, we never talked about this. Because my dad passed away in '99.
I remember that.
And never talked about the war.
You never did?
Never.
So you never had a conversation with him?
No. And it was kind of known in our house, don't talk about
Did
it.
your mom didn't talk about it?
No, never. Until 2006 when we went back.
So this is the first time you're hearing stories?
Yes. So she's like, see right here. She wasn't even telling me. She's telling Brian Gumbel. See right here. My husband, Jim, he was standing right here, and a bullet came right through our apartment and just missed his head. I'm like, are you kidding me?
You've never told me this?
How am I just finding this out? Like, it was,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it's so amazing.
Wow.
And it was just, I was just
Unbelievable.
grateful for the opportunity to go, and then more for my mom to be there,
Yeah.
and because it kind of opened her eyes to like loving the country again. Like, she wanted nothing to do with it. She's already been back. She took my oldest son and she took my niece back there and
Great.
brought a bunch of stuff to the people that are playing baseball. So it's been.
And she's reconnected with her family, obviously?
Yeah. Yep.
That's
Yeah.
great.
It's such a good thing that happened. And the baseball, it's not where they want it to be, but it's they're trying to grow it. But
That's
so
awesome.
I'm saying I'm going to be the only Vietnamese born
For a while.
for our lifetime. Yeah.
I signed there, and I'm like, why the hell did I sign here? My dad died that year.
Oh.
So imagine this, fellas. I get a chance to hang with this cat every day. I see this cat. He comes to the games and shit. After the games, we go eat dinner. It's the most time I've ever had with my dad in the season.
Wow.
In 16 years. So I played one more year after that, 17 and a half, whatever. And I'm hanging with him and shit. And one day, like, man, why the hell are you huffing and puffing when you're coming from the house to the car? You just walk like 10 steps. He goes, man, I don't know what the hell wrong with me. I said, well, look, we going on the road. Promise me that you're going to go see Doc when we go on the road. He's like, promise you, bro. I'm going to go see him because this shit ain't right. we go somewhere. We go and go to my grandmother's house, and he's sleeping and shit. I'm like, damn, man, this shit's weird. We just got here. You knocked out on the couch. He go, man, I'm tired. I said, all right, you just go to the doctor and make sure you're good. He's like, bet, I'm gonna go see him. Where the hell we go? Wherever we went, Milwaukee, Colorado, wherever. I get the call from Skip. Lou comes over. Lou Pinella comes over. He's like, man, call your mom. Pops ain't doing too well. And he died.
Oh.
And he died. You know, we got home. He got home. He was still on the respirator or whatever. And I just, you know, I made the executive decision. You know, they put it in my hands. I don't know how the hell I got it. But I was like, yeah, you know. And he passed away, and I thought, this is how it's fucking supposed to end with him. You know, like I'm in Chicago, fucking get this time in.
Wow.
And rock with him for a minute. You know what I'm saying? But the word, this is the shit. You know, I was always that one fucking thing. I see his doc at the funeral. Doc, he come see you. That's the shit I want to fuck with him with when I get there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, left me hanging, bro. Like I fucking told you, go see this doc.
Oh my gosh.
Do you want to play? Do you want to keep playing? Would you come back?
Yeah, I want to. I want to get picked up now, but you know, the way baseball's going, it's tough. You see all these older guys, they're getting shipped in and shipped out. It's crazy, but you know, it was a blessing in disguise. I got released. A week later, I'm in Florida practicing with the USA team. A week after that, we're playing. We end up winning the qualifier. I have some of the best games in my career. And I thought, honestly, I was going to get picked up then, if you want the truth. Like, hey, he's back. You know, he just went through 30 at-bats where he struggled. I didn't get any calls, whatever. Go play in the Olympics in Tokyo. Had a great time. Ended up winning silver medal. Another blessing. And I'm just sitting back waiting to play again. But if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, so be it.
Of course he wants to play again. He's still raking. You saw him at the Olympics this year. Bunch of big hits, bunch of home runs. This guy can flat out still hit. You know, you think Todd Frazier, he's not done. And I think that's a big thing is like when we talk to CC, we talk to Todd Frazier. Hey, at the end of the day, you can't just bring up young guys and expect to teach these guys how to be big leaguers. I mean, you know, I look back at my career, so many guys helped me, Barry Larkins, Greg Vaughns, Pete Harnishes, these guys that were veteran guys. Like teams out there need a guy like Todd Frazier. This guy still wants to play. He can still be productive, but he brings so much to that clubhouse. Right. And, you know, for all the teams out there, come on, get Frazier back in your clubhouse, and, you know, this guy's a winner.
Got him. He's awesome. Such a great guy. And, you know, so, again, this has just been such an amazing journey with you. And I know, like, we're hyping it up a little more, but for me and Sean, two very disorganized, lazy people, we're very proud of ourselves for being 20 in here, right? Sean, you agree with that?
Yes. Are you kidding me? Chinch, like I said, our motto day one was ready, fire, aim. It was like, we don't know what we're doing, but we're gonna give it a shot, and we're gonna work our tails off to make it happen. So exactly. So it's been awesome, bro. It's been awesome.
And before we say goodbye to you guys, we just, again, those first 10 episodes, you'll see how the sausage was made, because we were a disaster. And if you go to our YouTube channel, you'll see the progression of us going from looking really horrible to decently okay to having lights to having good cameras and all that stuff. But we want to just take a quick look back at the first 10 episodes before we say goodbye.
How about we're at Bill Street or something, and, you know, Sean's giving these guys $2 tips.
That's not true. That's not
$2.
No. I'm gonna tell you the story. I come down with this big bag, right? And I'm about to get on the bus there. It was 6 minutes till the bus leaves. Big league bus to the yard. Nick goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "I'm taking my bags to the bus." He's like, "This is the show. You don't ever touch your bags at the show." He goes, "Go upstairs and return your bags right now and call the bellman." I'm like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "There's 6 months till the bus leaves." He goes, "Take a cab." He's like, "You don't touch your bags in the big leagues." So I go running upstairs, and before I get up there, I go, "Nick," "what do I tip the guy?" He goes, $2 a bag. He goes, "You got 2 bags? Give him $4. So, all right, cool. Fast forward till 2003, Dempster, Kearns, and Dunner in my room, and the guy comes up, and I'm making $8.5 million at the time. And the guy, I have 2 bags, and I gave him $4, and Dunner's like, bro, did you just give that guy $4? I go, yeah, it's $2 a bag. He goes, are you kidding me? He goes, I give $100. I give $100 for the belt. I go, are you serious? He goes, I go, Jeff Manto told me 6 years ago it was $2 a bag. He goes, not when you're making $8.5 million, it's not. I had an experience in Shea Stadium back when I was with the Reds. You had to go down this, like, you know, it was like dangerous. It's like dripping like liquid you've never seen before. You're like, if you touch that liquid, you might die. You know what I mean? And this is like probably like 2003. And in between the clubhouse and the dugout, there's these 2 curtains. Can't make this stuff up, dude. So behind those curtains, you think it's going to be the Wizard of Oz, but it's not. I go to get the 3rd ball. It looked like a Doberman picture. Oh my God! It's like you're scared at night when you think the boogeyman's in your closet. You guys are completely scared. Like, what's wrong, kids? Like, I just ran across my feet. I was trying to warm up, get ready for the game. So like Bob Boone's like, you ready to go? I was like, listen, I think I'm ready because I don't want to go back and warm up. That was my Shea Stadium, same experience. I remember in Akron, Ohio, when I was in Akron, we're just like, hey guys, let's get the cash. We don't have any money at that point in our lives. We're cashing it up. Boom. You know, the first night there, we have a workout. I go up to my bed that night, and I just jump on the bed real quick. Boom. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And at that time in my life, I wasn't handy at all. Oh man, what a buzzkill. Like, so I just laid like this, like for the first night. I was like, that ain't bad. It was not that bad. Chinch, no, my back was good. I was 22, and a couple nights I felt like I was on the Titanic, and I was like hanging on to it. I'm like, hey guys, Titanic's going down. It's all right though, because I'm good. I'm holding on because the bed's slanted. I can hold on without going. But I end up hitting 386 at Akron, so I was like, man, this worked out great. Some of the best food is in Milwaukee, bro. Before the game this one time, usually you got a nice little spread, right? The brats from the stadium brats down there for us, wrapped in like aluminum foil. So I'm like, you know what? I haven't really eaten today. I deserve a brat, you know what I mean, before the game, because it's probably going to be delicious. I crush a brat, I'm like, boy, that was delicious. So sure enough, I crush another one, and for some reason, I started to think to myself, hey, three's the number. I'm going to go for 3 brats because I'm starving, and I'm just going to roll the dice, you know? And I don't know if I'm feeling too good. Let's roll, boys. Time to get it on. First at bat, wham, double the gap. I'm like, oh, yeah, here we go. Next at bat, like the 3rd inning, bam, double left center gap. I'm like, oh, we're rolling. 5th inning comes along, right? And I'm out in the field. And all of a sudden, man, there's a rumble in the jungle in my stomach. Just bad boiler alert. Like, oh, man, I don't feel good. Like, and what's so funny is I remember thinking, man, why don't I feel good? And I was like, oh, yeah, I ate 3 brats right before the game started. I forgot about that. I'm 3rd up the next inning, right? And I just come sprinting off the field as fast as you could, just like freaking Michael Johnson in his prime. Just, you know. Next thing you know, I'm in the stall. I'm just like, I'm going to be in the bathroom. I'm in the hole this inning, bro. Case, you're on deck. Bam, another knock. I got 3 brats, 3 knocks. Ate 3 brats that day. I got 3 more hits. Next day, 3 more brats. 9 brats I ate in 3-game series. 9 hits. We had to get out of Milwaukee as quick as possible. I was like, get me out of Milwaukee ASAP. I love it, dude. That's what I love. That's why I love this show, man. Even as, you know, obviously we're hosting, but we're fans too, man. We love the interviews. We love hearing things from guys and you know, just the stories that we all have in our heads has been a ton of fun. And I think what's great is, you know, for everyone that's listening to us, everyone that's tuning in, you know, so we can continue to tell the stories, please do us a favor. Go download the Mayor's Office on Apple, Spotify, we have a YouTube channel too. I believe iHeartRadio, wherever you stream your podcasts. And if you could give us a 5-star rating, if you could write us a good review, all that stuff helps us to keep coming back every week and delivering these great stories and these great guests to you guys.
Yeah, I know. And it sounds corny because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and you people at home who are listening to podcasts, and you're like, people are always saying that on their podcast, and you're like, oh, come on, what are you feeling for yourself? No, it just really does help us spread our word and have the enjoyment that we're having and share it with more people. The more you guys like us, the more you guys subscribe to us, the more people we can reach. And honestly, for me personally, like, Sean called me however much it was, like 6-7 months ago.
7 months
said,
ago.
yeah, you want to give this a shot. And man, I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud to be working with you. I love our phone calls. Our significant others always make fun of us for having boyfriends with each other. Like, oh, there's Chinch again. Oh, there's Sean again. Okay, I'll stop dinner. What time are we eating dinner? Are you going to be on the phone with Sean anymore? And I'm like, but it's been one of the greatest journeys in my life. And like Sean said, it's awesome that you folks are coming along for the ride with us, and we'd love for you to spread the word as much as you can.
Yeah. Oh man. So we're so appreciative. We're so thankful. We'll see the numbers go up every week, and you know, we're just very grateful you guys are tuning in, and we just ask you to keep coming back with us for the ride, because Chinch and I are having a blast, and we want you guys to have a blast with us. And hopefully you guys have enjoyed this recap, the mayor's office recap of the last of these last really 19 weeks, which has been pretty cool. So thanks a lot. We will see you next week for episode 21. See you, brother.